horrible man.
Or was he? I mean, I get it. Milton's a Pinkerton, and Pinkertons are, well, they're bastards. Like, they're a predecessor to the FBI, so of course they're going to be assholes and bastards and cunts. But at the same time, Milton, I'd argue Milton's actually not that bad of a guy. I know this is probably a random video to make, but you know what, fuck it. Milton, in my opinion, is not that bad. Like, he's no different than a cop. He's basically a cop in the Wild West. He's a Fed before the Feds. Now, granted, he's a Pinkerton, and Pinkertons can be scummy. Like they're like PMCs, only they're more like PPFs, I guess would be the term. And these guys have a history of doing some fucked up shit. I believe one of them, he was trying to catch Jesse James so bad that he threw a firebomb into his family home. Now, it hit his mother on the arm, and it caused her to lose the arm. She survived, but it also hit his cousin, which killed him. So these Pinkertons aren't exactly above getting blood on their hands. So, granted, they're assholes and pricks, and Milton's one of them, but I argue in a world of stereotypical Pinkertons, he's actually very moderate. Actually, I would argue he's not that bad among them. Like, he gave Arthur an out. He offered all the gang an out. Like, he even said, I don't want to kill all these fools, Dutch. Just you. So, all the gang had to do, like, if they get handed over Dutch, they could have walked away scot-free. Could have, anyway. Or maybe. It's debatable, but... Yeah, and considering they live in a world where... Considering he lives in a world where he has to deal with psychopaths such as...
You want to watch your mouth, boy. You will be the first one we kill.
Well, yeah, guys like that. In a world where Trevor Phillips' Wild West edition exists and Arthur Morgan exists, I would say, well, yeah, Milton's operating in a more understandable sense. Like, he seems to be willing to give you an out if you take it, and he won't fuck with you. And plus, considering what happened after he was killed, I would say he was probably the more moderate of the two that we see operating, who have a more presence in the plot other than just being drones for us to gun down with headshots. Or at least for me, they were. Like, here's the thing. Of the two, Milton was the more reasonable one. Compared to Ross. Now, Ross is kind of a psychopath. Like, he had Leopard Strauss tortured after they arrested him. Now, compare this to how Milton treated Molly O'Shea when she was arrested, and a bunch of them. They were sweated, as he put it, but he had to let her go. He didn't torture her for information she probably would have given up. He let her go. Now, Ross, he offered Leopard Strauss no such out, as far as we know. He just had him tortured to death. And granted, Strauss probably was loyal enough to where he didn't give anything up, but yeah. Now, if you want to say, well, Milton's a racist, sure he's a racist, but then again, look at the time period. He operates in the late 1800s. A lot of people back then were racist. So I would say, if you put that aside, he's not that bad of a guy. I mean, well, that and the fact he shot Jose, but then again, by that point, he decided, fuck it, since these guys spit in my face, I'm going to fuck with them in return. So I would say Milton is not as bad as... Interesting, I don't really know what the consensus of the Red Dead community is on him, but yeah, I would say he's not as bad as people say. If anything, he is more like the most... Like, he's an antagonist. He's doing his job. He's a cop doing his job. And I would say, of the two, he is the one I would rather be dealing with. Like, he is the good cop, as weird as that sounds. Like, Ross is the bad cop. Because look what he did to John Marston in the end. And Milton, I believe, would have let John Marston live out his days as a farmer. I do believe that. Or, that's my suspicion, anyway. And, I mean, really, look at the way that Dutch's gang operates. I mean, look how Arthur operates.
Milliken, is it?
Yes, sir.
Will you count for me? I got talking to do.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. From 1 or 4,
Oh,
sir?
very funny. No, we must be at 11 by now.
11, 12, 13,
Faster.
14, 15, 16, 17.
Now hurry up. Well, this poor fool's gonna get his brains shot out. And over what? For nothing. Milliken, don't stop counting. I can't hear you.
Hurry up and bring that asshole out here, you bastards! Come on!
Don't cry, buddy.
I don't want to die.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, poor Milliken. But yeah, so that's how Arthur operates. That's how he gets stuff done. Like, he's an outlaw, he's a crook, and Milton is a cop, more or less. I mean, granted, he's a privatized cop who answers to a big businessman and is a businessman's toy, to borrow from Arthur, but still, he's a cop doing his job. And despite how fucked up what he sometimes has to do to get the job done, he does it, but he also does it within the confines of, and I will let Milton justify it himself.
We are doing all we can within the confines of the law.
So yeah, look, Milton's not a good guy. Well, he's not perfect, but I would definitely rather he be the one in charge of the situation than Ross. Because again, okay, Milton is Zakhaev, Ross is Makarov. You tell me which one you would rather have in charge of your interrogation and decide your fate. Like, yeah, I will take, yeah, Milton. Again, he's an asshole and a prick, and he works in an organization that's filled with cunt heads. But yeah, he's not as bad as I think some people in the game make him sound. And that's just my thought on the matter, is just that. And honestly, that's really the tragedy in all this. Like, Milton was just doing his job. I mean, granted, he was still, maybe not sociopath, but he was kind of crazy. Because he still had no problem trying to kill Arthur and kidnapping people, but he did try to do things with a legality to it. It just didn't pan out the way he had hoped. And so, yeah, Miguel, I disagree. He's not a horrible man. Ross was a horrible man who got what he fucking deserved in the end. But and I think that's where I'm going to end the video. Have a nice day, and remember the game was rigged from the start.